Welcome to this video about my newest car purchase, which is this. It's a 1981 Volvo 345DL. Now, I have some history with this car in that I first spotted it in Ely in Cambridgeshire in 2011 when I was going for a walk with my parents, and I put a note under the windscreen and was duly contacted by the owner, albeit not to buy it at that time, but to help them with some spare parts that they needed. At one point somebody had crashed into the back of them slightly and broken the rear bumper and a light cluster, and at some point I think I also helped them with a new cylinder head because the old one had broken. It's a 1981 car, meaning that it's got the old style bullnose still, but it's got the newer style wraparound bumpers on the front and at the back. Eagle-eyed people who are into their Volvo 300s might notice that the front bumper is incorrect. It's first of all, it's from a GL because it's got a chrome strip, and second of all, it's from, and more importantly, it's from a later car. It's pointy in the front, which means that it leaves a bit of a gap under the nose cone there. 1981 bumpers are unique and they should be completely flat along the front, but hopefully I've got one of those sourced at some point soon, so I'll be replacing that. From far away, the car looks to be in pretty good condition, and certainly it is good enough to have passed an MOT on the day I bought it a couple of months ago, but actually if you look a little bit closer, it's had some very well, it's got a bit of rust and it's had some very entertaining repairs. You can see there's a bit of primer there, and then there's some wonderful rattle cannage has gone on here on the door and all along the back wheel arch there. Obviously it's had some welding over here on the sill, and that could probably do with being tied up, but it's certainly completely solid. And equally over here on the driver's side, someone, or the previous owner, has been at it with a rattle can, and this wheel arch has seen its fair share of some filler, I think, so I'll need to attend to that at some point. The rust that's actually there on the car is really not that much. There's a little bit there inside of the rear wheel arch, but it's not causing anybody a problem. It just needs to be tidied up. And this front wing is bubbling and in fairly poor shape, but it's relatively solid. It looks like it's been played around with, but it's not too bad. And actually you can see on the driver's side that the bottom half of the doors is actually a completely different colour to the top half, which hopefully I will address shortly. I realise I sound like I am being a bit unkind about the previous owners when I talk about the repairs, but I'm genuinely not. I'm extremely grateful to them for what they did, because had they not looked after the car, painted it, covered up rust, used filler to, you know, keep it on the road, then it wouldn't be on the road now. So, you know, yes, it's a little bit rough, but actually that completely adds to its charm and its honesty, and that is exactly why I had to have the car in my collection. It's by far not the sort of prettiest and most solid, most original car, but it's got that honesty factor that I absolutely love about cars. And I, apart from perhaps making the colours match a little bit better, I don't want to restore this car to any kind of showroom condition. I want to fix things that are broken and put everything back to how it should be, but beyond that I have no interest in making it a show car, making it shine, respraying it, anything like that. Just keep it original, keep some of the character that it's developed over its lifetime, and that's exactly why I love old cars, so why would I do anything different? There's a little bit of rust bubbling in the bottom of the windscreen, but really not very much. And then the only other bit that is of any particular concern is just there behind the door mirror. Again, really not that bad considering it's 38 years old, sorry, and has been used as a daily driver up until 2018. Oh, the nose cone is a little bit rusty as well, particularly in the middle. So let's take a look inside. Oh, you'll see these door handle surrounds have all disintegrated, but I've got some new ones to put on. Inside it's a fairly similar story actually. It's in reasonably good condition, but there are a few issues, such as the driver's seat, where the heated seat element has obviously come through the material, and very irritatingly tends to go up your t-shirt as you're sitting in the driver's seat. It has done 73,000 miles, just under. It did have a horrible aftermarket radio, and huge great big aftermarket speakers were put in the wheel wells, but I've removed all of that. At the moment it doesn't have any entertainment system, but we'll live without that for the moment. It's a 4-speed manual, and one of the jobs I've already done is I've had to change the gear stick itself, because the one that came with the car was a replacement that was relatively recent, but it was not quite the right shape, and so it ended up being that neutral was essentially where second is, meaning that second was then basically where the handbrake is, which made it really very strange to drive. So I changed that quite quickly, because I happen to have a correct gear stick in the attic from a 1980 car. Inside it's fairly sort of Spartan. It has everything you could possibly want in a car, I suppose. It has a heater, which the fan doesn't work, but I need to fix that. Everything else seems to work. There's a nice little glove box there with the owner's manual, and this is the only one of my Mark 1 340s where the glove box actually opens without you having to sort of prise it out with your fingers, so that's a plus. We don't have door bins or door pockets on this model. I think that was probably reserved for a GL, although my 1980 DL does have them, so I might have a quick look in the brochure to see whether they just made the car a little bit more poverty spec for 1981. The most exciting feature that this car has is it has a sunroof, which completely works. I had to fix it because it didn't open at all when I first got the car. But there we go, it opens that way. And if I flick that little switch, it should open and vent as well. So I'm really pleased with that. It works really well. To get into the back, I need to raise this. No central locking in 1981 on this kind of model of a car. And the back is in pretty good condition. It needs a hoover. I've replaced the ashtray in the middle. The one that was here when I got the car was completely smashed, so I've replaced that. The floor mats were in the car when I got it. As you can see, it all needs a really good clean. There's loads of sort of dog hairs and that kind of thing all over it that need to be removed. In fact, I might do that after I finish making this video. Just moving around now, so we've got a Volvo non-locking fuel cap, which is correct for the car. Again, it wasn't actually what was on the car when I bought it. It had an aftermarket one, but I've found one in the attic, the correct one, and put that in. And then over to the boot, so you can see it's a 345 DL. And let's get in the boot. We've got a lovely National Trust sticker there, which I really like. It's slightly falling apart, sadly, as you can see. And the parcel shelf, they all suffer essentially from warping a bit in the back there, usually because they've had a bit of water dripping down from the seal. So the previous owner has put a metal plate either side, which is great because it does stay in place a lot more than the others in my other cars. Right, let's get the bonnet open to have a look there. Oh, you'll see there's bits of my little National Trust sticker on the passenger seat somehow. So just need to open that lever. And 300s have sort of a front opening bonnet. Lift up at the front, there we go. And then lift up and clicks into place like that, which is really rather good. 1.4 litres of Renault engine is in there. up to 1980 you had circular cylindrical air filters. 1981 onwards they changed to the sort of dish shape. But these cars have got this extra brace there for the circular air filter, whereas later cars like my 1985 doesn't have that, which means that the air filter only mounts onto the carburettor, and it tends to shake itself loose. So it was a bit of a retrograde step actually. It's on its original, just about can see there, Ducellier coil. It's had a new radiator. In fact, most parts on this car have been replaced at some point. So the most recent replacement is the clutch, and I've done another video on that because that's the first job I had to do on this car when I first got it, because I've had it for a few months but I've not been able to drive it because the clutch was slipping terribly due to a oil leak from, I think, the rear main seal. So it's taken me a while, but I've done that, and I've also replaced the exhaust, the entire exhaust system from back. There we are, nice shiny exhaust manifold, lovely. So I've replaced the whole thing and it's actually sounding so much better than it did. Let's go and start it. Now, these early 340s come with 2 keys, although neither of these are actually Volvo keys, they've been replaced at some point. But the little one is for the doors and the tailgate, and the bigger one is to start the car. So let's start it. I haven't started it for a little while, a couple of hours or so it needs a bit of choke to get going. There we go. Perfect. There it is running. It's not the smoothest engine. I think there's a slight issue with the carburettor. It tends to be quite pulsy, the engine, which is not very confidence inspiring at idle, because you think it's going to cut out like that and then it recovers again. A few of the little fun bits and pieces that I've done is I've replaced this, which is the knob for the driver's door lock. When I got the car it was a green pen lid, which, although it was characterful, isn't quite my style. I prefer something a little bit more original, although the surrounding plastic is still missing, so I might find that somewhere. So I had to replace the door surround there because it was completely missing. Most of the other ones in the car are cracked, so hopefully I can replace those at some point. The window seal channel here, maybe you can't see, but is missing for the top half of the driver's window, meaning that it whistles like mad when you're driving at any speed. So I've ordered some felt rubber, flocked rubber to replace that. I've replaced the aerial because it had an aftermarket aerial, so it's now got a correct Volvo one, although it's not chrome sadly, there's only black available. And a strange niggly thing that needs doing is this indicator stalk, which I think is the correct one for the car, but it's in the wrong place. It's far too high. So if I zoom back, you can see the wash wipe one is almost horizontal, whereas this one's kind of had a journey north, meaning that it's, you know, it goes a bit crazy to put the indicator. That should be where it should be, where indicating left. So I'll take the steering column apart and have a little look at that at some point and see what's going on with that. So that's it for this video. I really like my little green car. I'm really pleased I got it. It was a long wait until I could get it, but I'm really pleased it was worth the wait. It's a really solid car. It drives beautifully. We haven't gone for a drive today, but it's got a really nice light steering for a car that doesn't have power steering. It's got quite a nice gear change. Into second, as always with these 4-speed Volvo gearboxes, is a bit clunky, but every other gear is lovely. Also reverse, quite often for some reason you have to declutch and try again to get into reverse. Sometimes it just doesn't want to do it, but again that's extremely normal for these Volvo gearboxes that's fitted to this car. But yeah, it drives really nicely. I think the steering rack's been replaced, which means that's why it's so nice. All the controls, the clutch, the accelerator, it's all weighted really nicely. It's got really good brakes. So yeah, it's great. And I love the colour. I love the fact that it stands out, and it's just such a lovely early 1980s colour. So there we go. I hope you liked the video, a little tour around the car, and see you next time.